So today I'm going to talk about Roblox game Sailor Piece and some mistakes I made when I first started playing. When I opened this game for the first time, there were so many things I didn't know. And honestly, after getting some experience, I realized I really wish someone had told me these things earlier. So this isn't exactly a complete beginner guide, but more like me sharing my own experience about what things you should do early game and what things you really shouldn't. First thing, make sure to join the game's official group because you can collect free rewards from there. And trust me, those rewards help a lot in early game progression. But the biggest mistake I made at the start was not changing my settings properly. Go into settings and immediately enable auto quest repeat. This setting basically repeats your quest automatically, which makes grinding way faster. And if you're a mobile player like me, I'd also recommend turning off some effects like VFX, camera shake, shadows. Because these effects can cause lag on mobile devices, and after turning them off, my game felt much smoother. Another huge mistake I made was not doing the hockey quest early enough. Go to Snow Island and start the hockey NPC quest there while also continuing your normal grinding quests. What I did later was grinding both quests together at the same time. And honestly, that helped a lot because your EXP keeps increasing, your hockey level increases, and your damage becomes much better. That you should put most of your stats into combat early game so you can basically one-shot starter NPCs. That makes grinding way faster. And here's another trick I found while grinding. For the 3 NPC quests, stand in the middle of all 3 enemies and use auto combat or your attacks there. This way, you can hit multiple NPCs together and also continue your hockey grind at the same time. When I first started, I was literally fighting NPCs one by one. And trust me, that took so much extra time. So for the second and third quests too, use the same method. After finishing the quests, go back to Snow Island and claim your hockey progress from the hockey NPC. And another important thing, go into settings and turn on the auto skill options. This game is actually very grind friendly because a lot of things can be automated. Quests, skills, weapon abilities, combat. So you don't have to keep clicking everything manually again and again. Now another mistake I made. At first, I didn't know that you could actually enable certain powers for auto-grinding. You know those powers with the bigger attack range? Those are super useful for farming mobs. I was literally grinding with just basic sword M1 attacks at the start, which made everything slower for no reason. And if your powers aren't auto-activating, then go near the skill section. Click the little arrow below the power, or enable it from setting. After doing all this, you can just sit back on auto grind for a while and while grinding, keep checking the things you get in your inventory like races, clans, traits. Keep re-rolling them until you get something decent because these things actually increase your damage a lot in this game. And here's something important most beginners don't know. In settings, there's an option called Skip Epic Roll. At first, turn that off, because in early game, you probably won't have enough race or clan rerolls. So if Epic gets skipped automatically, you might accidentally waste good rolls and end up with common stuff. Later, when you have lots of rerolls from grinding, then you can turn Skip Epic on. Also, hockey colors look cool, but colors themselves don't really increase damage much. Still, rainbow hockey is one of the best looking ones and pretty rare, but you can eventually get it with grinding. And while auto-grinding in the background, keep re-rolling your race and clan, little by little. Make sure to unlock Observation Hockey from Desert Island. The Observation Hockey trainer is near the bandit enemies on Desert Island. You can enable auto hockey from settings so it stays active automatically while grinding. Observation Hockey lets you automatically dodge enemy attacks, which helps a lot during boss fights and farming stronger enemies later. And another important thing in Sailor Piece is titles, because they actually give useful buffs and are not just for appearance. Different titles can increase your damage, luck, XP, money, gems, crit chance, and other stats depending on which one you equip. And later in Sailor Piece, the skill tree becomes really important for increasing your overall damage and progression. You can unlock it at Slime Island after reaching around level 7500 and paying 1000 gems to the skill tree NPC. The skill tree lets you upgrade stats like damage, crit chance, crit damage, HP, and luck. To get skill points, you need to defeat enemies, and every 250 NPC kills gives 1 skill point. Don't ignore trait rerolls and stat rerolls, because they help increase your build strength a lot. For traits, go to the trait NPC at Sailor Island and use trait rerolls to spin for better traits. For stat rerolls, go to the Stat Master NPC at Sailor Island. You can reroll stats like damage, crit, and luck using gems. Most players try to get high tiers like SS, SSS, or Z because they give much better boosts. Early game, it's better to focus on decent stats instead of wasting all your gems trying for. And lastly, when you reach around Shibuya Station level requirements, try defeating the bosses there and also bosses like Vampire, Solo Hunters, because they drop materials useful later for Ascension and stronger upgrades. Also remember, whichever weapon or power you use the most, put your stats into that category. And thankfully, this game gives free stat refunds many times, so you can always change your build later. And if some bosses feel difficult, don't just stand close and spam attacks. Moves like Quake are easier to use from a distance, so sometimes fighting safely from far away actually works better. And later in the game, one really important thing is Ascensions. At first, I honestly didn't pay much attention to Ascensions because I thought they were only late game stuff, but they actually become very important for increasing your damage and an overall progression. For Ascensions, you'll need different materials dropped from bosses in certain areas, which is why boss grinding becomes important later on. And another important thing once you reach Shibuya Station is the blessing system, because that's where weapons and fighting styles start becoming much stronger. Interact with him, choose your sword or fighting style, and use materials to increase its blessing level from B1 to B10. Blessings give buffs like extra damage, crit chance, and crit damage, so they help a lot for grinding and boss fights later. That makes grinding much easier. Now talking about swords. For beginners, the starter katana is decent at first, but later you should try getting better swords like Dark Blade or Griffin. Especially Griffon is really good for beginners because it's pretty easy to obtain and helps a lot with grinding. But right now I'm mainly talking about early game grinding and mistakes. So later I'll talk more about builds and stronger weapons. So yeah, just keep grinding smartly instead of randomly like I did. Even though I watched guides at the start, I still ignored a lot of important things and only realized their importance after reaching higher levels. So, hopefully this video helps beginners avoid those same mistakes. That's basically it for this video. Bye!